Hippie podcast, where art and wellness collide. Well, hi and welcome back to the Healthy Metal Hippie. Today I am excited. We are talking about style in a way. I was having a conversation with my friend the other day, and I was telling her that I always have kind of felt like I have more of a punk vibe, and that's kind of more where I've identified in the fashion in anything. And she went, because she always would have put me in kind of a goth box if she had to put me in a box. I guess there's a couple things when she said to me. So the funny thing is, probably in the last year or so, I am embracing the fact that, yeah, maybe I am more goth than I ever thought I was, or maybe more than I allowed myself to consider I was. I always thought I was like not cool enough to be considered goth or to call myself that, but it kind of seems to line up more and more than I thought it ever did. So there's that part of it, but it's also so interesting how differently people see us versus how we see ourselves. So even when I was working in like corporate job and everything like that with insurance brokerages, I mean, I wore black, but it was quite reserved. And I still had like my winged eyeliner and all that stuff, but I still thought it was quite just plain. I mean, I'll never forget going to a client's office, and we talked on the phone all the time, but because their office was far away, we never actually met in person. And I walked in and I was wearing a fuchsia coat with all black underneath, of course. And she said to me, "Oh, Ash, I always thought you were a goth." And so she was so shocked to see me, which I'm like, wait a second, now that I'm talking about this, I'm like, how did she know that? Maybe somebody told her. But it's just so interesting because I've just never thought of myself that way. I had black hair, no colors in it, just black. I didn't obviously have my hands and arms tattooed. I was just there, and it was just fine. I didn't really think there was anything too different about me really from anybody else in the office, except maybe wearing a bit more black than other people. Okay. And again, I know that's not what it takes to be goth. Anyway, we're not even going to get onto that whole topic today. But the funny thing is, sometimes I actually see myself as a bit of a mess. Sometimes I'm like, I don't feel very put together today, or I don't look very put together today. But then somehow people end up complimenting me like, "Wow, your outfit's so great. You look so amazing. You look blah, blah, blah." And again, it comes back to this like, wow, people really perceive us differently than we do. I think most of us are such massive critics on ourselves, right? And I mean, I'm going to say like at least 95%. And we might be able to pick out those things that we love and the things that we think are like super cool about us. But generally, our self-talk and our self-perception is quite critical. And it's really sad to see sometimes because, I mean, not sometimes, all the time. I think we are hard on ourselves because we generally strive for perfection, or at least for better than where we are or what we're doing and whatever. But does that ever give us that chance to just be like content with where we are? I'm going on a whole bunch of tangents right now, but I'm just thinking out loud. But while we are striving for, say, different style, or like tweaking our style, or getting those workouts in and feeling great and looking great, well, do we let ourselves just be in the moment and be present and just in love with who we are and all of those beautiful, sometimes messy bits that are beautiful in themselves, that just make up part of life? And that's something that I'm always curious about. And we've talked about it on so many episodes here about embracing the chaos, embracing the messy, embracing imperfection and broken. It's like I have this view in general about, I look at myself now and I'm like, yeah, there's some there's some mileage here. But I look at myself and I feel like as I age, I look better and I feel better and I want to step out more and put myself out there for opportunities, whether that's personally, whether that's, with friendships or experiencing new things or business or job opportunities. And that's the exciting part, I think. But maybe it is just something about as you age, you get more comfortable with yourself. And as you age every year, you get to be more exactly the person that you always wanted to be and that you were always meant to be. And I think as we get into those paths, we step into that and we continue our journeys, we start to feel more comfortable. Even in the scary things, we start to feel more comfortable and empowered and forward moving. It's really something special to see when I see people's wrinkles or I see their scars. I see all sorts of things. I go, damn, beautiful stories and beautiful life. I mean, probably very difficult pieces of it too. But that's what makes the web of our lives, right? And they're just some of the most special things about being alive and being part of this world. When it comes to style, I don't think that we actually need to put ourselves in a box. I think, as I've said before, we love categories. It's easy for us to organize our thoughts and organize our judgments. Like it or not, we all have them, but it's an easy way for us to organize those in our head and make decisions quickly. So it's easy to say that person's a jock and that person's goth and that person's preppy and kind of make a decision based on that, whether you're going to like that person. Okay. But I think when we define ourselves, do we really need to be in a box? That's what I wonder, because I sit there and go, you know what? I actually still feel that I probably lean a bit more on the punk side of things. But then I also really love some of these intricate and kind of luxurious, just incredible looks. And again, I'm talking style only today, okay, of the goth aesthetic that I heavily lean into, and I probably have for a lot longer than I really realized. And I think that's a really wonderful thing. So I think these can actually be good things, like if we are trying to paint a picture of what something looks like, if we're trying to describe our style to our friends, for example, or somebody that you just met. So when it comes to our style, we can define it any way that we like. And it doesn't have to fit in any kind of box, and maybe it doesn't have to make sense to everybody else. You can define it any way that feels good to you. To me, there's so many different ways that I would define myself, like a sparkly punk rock goth fairy or something like that. Or maybe a little bit awkward kitty cat with sparkles. I think there's got to be something with sparkles in there all the time because I love my sparkles. The fairy, the sparkles, and darkness. That's somewhere where I'm going to sit. And I think that's the best way that I could describe my style. It doesn't have to be in a box. It doesn't have to be specifically defined to fit any categories. What matters is how you define yourself by the way you live, and that the way you present outwardly is a reflection of who you are as a person and who you are inside. So I'm so curious to know, how do you express yourself? How do you see yourself? How have other people's decisions about who you are and what you are based on your looks, how have they impacted you? I'm really curious to know. So let's keep this conversation going. Drop me an email, leave me a comment. I am so excited to hear from you. Thanks so much. Sending you peace and love. Have a beautiful day. Thanks so much for joining us on the Healthy Metal Hippie podcast. For more ways to connect, go to www.healthymetalhippie.com.